Hi, and welcome to the latest video weather briefing for the look at the state of ENSO and our climate, and an update to our winter weather outlook that we gave earlier this year. This presentation is about 10 minutes long. We hope you enjoy it. We'll discuss the current state of ENSO, or the sea surface temperatures in the Pacific, and give the outlook for the winter weather, as well as also take a look at recent precipitation and the state of the climate. This is Warning Coordination Meteorologist Alex Tardy from the National Weather Service in San Diego. Here's a look at the agenda for this presentation. We'll quickly take a look at last winter and the early wet start to the precipitation in California. We'll look at recent and past precipitation, mainly back to the past 2 years and also the past 30 to 60 days. We'll take a look at ENSO conditions, or the state of the sea surface temperatures in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. We'll also take a quick look at past years with extreme variability in especially precipitation in California during ENSO neutral conditions. Finally, we'll take a look at the winter outlook for 2013 into 2014. All right, last year, precipitation was much below normal. Here's a depiction for Southwest California. So this is from October all the way through September. 40 to 60% of normal was the general covers of precipitation across our region. Some of the locations in the deserts, a little bit more, thanks to a significant monsoon season. How does it look across the state? When we look at our source of most of our water supply from the northern Sierra Nevada, the picture is shown as here. So far this year, 28% of average for that area. Now looking at the chart, you can see currently that area on average has received only 3 inches of its precipitation. Normally it should be closer to about 10 inches for this time of the year. You can see last year a very wet start to the year. That is the green line, and compared to the wettest line in history. So last year started off in December very wet in that region and ended up being most of the precipitation occurring during that period in early December. You can also look at the brown line. That's some of the driest years, the 2 driest years we've seen. And this year we are running right at or just below the driest years on record for this key area in the northern Sierra Nevada. Here's a look at specific numbers for Southwest California. Let's take a look at San Diego Lindbergh Field. So far since July 1st, 1.9 inches. That's actually 90% of normal. But then go up to Orange County and compare it to John Wayne, 0.9, less than an inch, only 35% of normal. And look at the deficit since January 1st, almost 9 inches. Going up to Riverside, they're close to 2 inches since July 1st, which is about half of where they should be. But also keep in mind, Riverside received thunderstorm rainfall during the month of August. Their total deficit since January 1st, around 8 inches. Quite significant, and also quite a variation as you go from county to county. Let's take a look at what the precipitation has been compared to normal in the past 2 years. The bottom line across California is dry. You can see widespread 25 to 50% of normal. Our region doing a little bit better, between 50 and 70% of normal when you combine the past 2 years. How about since October 1st, 2013, percent of normal? Very dry for central and northern California as shown here, areas below 25% of normal. A zoom up to our region in Southwest California reveals that a lot of our region has been dry, but not as dry as the rest of the state. And we have areas anywhere from 90% of normal all the way down to just shy of 50% of normal just this past fall. The impact of this precipitation deficit for the past year, the past 2 years, and the past 60 days is starting to take its toll. As shown here, the drought has spread across the west, across much of Nevada and California, and most of California is now in severe drought, with a few parts of central California, the Central Valley and coast, in extreme drought. Here's a look a little bit closer. Take a look at our region, and you can see most of our region is now in severe drought due to the lack of precipitation and decreasing water supply. And what about that water supply? Here is a report from the Metropolitan Water District as of December 1st. You can see the Diamond Valley Reservoir near Temecula. The storage of water is going down significantly. Levels are now close to 2009-2010 and much lower than what they've been the past 2 years, currently about 70% of normal. How about the snowpack in the Sierra Nevada? Well, even less than the precipitation that has occurred, snowpack is sitting around 6% of normal across the entire Sierra Nevada. One good piece of news is the snowpack and precipitation that's occurred in Colorado is at least near normal, sitting at about 112% of normal when you average the region over the Colorado Rockies. The water supply in California, it too is going down widespread. You can see here the red line is the historical average, blue is the current storage as of December 1st, and most locations in our major reservoirs are significantly below where they should be at this time. So for Southwest California, not only do we have to worry about the water supply, but also the fire weather conditions. Here are the latest fuel moistures. The fuel moistures are right about average, fortunately, thanks to the rainfall we saw in November and a little bit in early December. So the blue line is the current conditions for the coastal and mountain areas and hanging out right around average for this time of year. All right, let's talk about ENSO in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. We look at the sea surface temperatures. As shown here, the ENSO region is basically around neutral. There's a little bit of cold water, a little bit of slightly above normal water, but mostly right around no departure from normal. You can see globally, however, the northern Pacific, there is a large area of warm water as shown here. The actual numbers for the sea surface temperatures in the Pacific region that we monitor, right around zero as we showed. And you can see there has been a little bit of warming in the western part of the Pacific as shown in the chart to the right. You can see prior last year as we had the La Nina or the cool ocean temperatures that continued right into the summer months. Here's the forecast for ENSO. The computer model is basically showing that ENSO will stay right around neutral that it currently is at. However, it will tend to warm slightly as we get into next year. But for now, all the way through the spring, it looks like only slight warming, staying around neutral as shown here in the lower left. One thing we need to consider in our past ENSO years when it comes to seasonal outlooks or precipitation for the entire year, we've seen some great variability in precipitation, and that's come in some of the neutral years. Our El Nino years, as shown in red, produced some of the biggest monthly precipitation, but also we had big significant storms during neutral years such as 92-93, and also look back to 1979 and 1980 years. Overall, the tendency with ENSO and ENSO neutral conditions are for dry seasonal precipitation across California as shown here. Even when you look between December to February in all the ENSO neutral years, the tendency is dry, not significant, but on the drier side. All right, here are the key takeaways to keep in mind. There is high uncertainty for the precipitation outlook due to the variability we've seen with ENSO neutral conditions. There is good confidence on ENSO neutral conditions in the equatorial Pacific Ocean, remaining or only slightly warming through this winter 2014. So the bottom line is precipitation chances are expected to be basically equal chances of above or below normal, with a dry tendency, especially for extreme Southern California, as we've seen past ENSO years having a dry bias. Extreme precipitation events have occurred in several years that we looked at during ENSO neutral conditions. Here's the maps. We'll leave you with the maps for the actual official forecast for December through February, or the core of the winter months. Temperature forecast, not much signal for our region, but a signal for above normal in the Texas region and parts of the Gulf Coast, and below normal for the northern plains. Precipitation-wise, you see the slight tendency for dry creeping into extreme Southern California or the desert Southwest. Really, the only area expected for above normal precipitation is the far northern Rockies up to near the Canadian border. We hope you enjoyed the presentation and found it useful.